Britain isn't just inching toward political change, it's sprinting toward a full-blown upheaval. What's unfolding now isn't just another election cycle or a midterm grumble, it's the annihilation of the status quo. The tectonic plates beneath Westminster are shifting with a ferocity that no one, certainly not the Conservatives or Labour, can stop. The old guard is crumbling before our eyes. And out of the dust rises a force no one took seriously until it was too late: Reform UK. Once laughed off as fringe, they're now making a beeline for number 10, with Nigel Farage potentially leading the charge as Britain's next Prime Minister. Reform UK is no longer a footnote, it's a headline. A comprehensive poll aggregate just blew the roof off the political establishment, projecting a Reform majority of 74 seats. Let that sink in, not just a few wins here and there, but a full-blown government. Nigel Farage, the man previously exiled from polite political discourse, is now on the cusp of running the country. Not with whispers, not with suggestions, but with the thunder of a public that's had enough. Labour's big names? Obliterated. Angela Rayner, Rachel Reeves, Ed Miliband gone. Like chalk dust swept from a blackboard in a windstorm. The Conservatives? Even more pathetic. Rishi Sunak's party is down to just 22 seats, barely clinging to relevance. Churchill's legacy reduced to a footnote in a sea of irrelevance. Kemi Badenoch might lead the opposition, if she can hold on to her seat long enough. Sala Braverman? Poised to lose hers to Reform UK. The real question isn't whether she'll fight to stay, it's whether she'll jump before she's shoved. This isn't a resurgence. It's a reckoning. Reform UK represents more than policy proposals. It's raw fury, channeled. A reaction to decades of betrayal and bureaucratic rot. Every party's been infected. Every department, every smug face on BBC panels, every policy soaked in elitist attachment. This is the payback. You don't win 362 seats by accident. That only happens when millions are so sick of the system, they'd rather blow it all up and start fresh than take another step with the same clowns in charge. Britons across the country, whether in the forgotten hills of Cumbria or the grey terraces of inner Manchester, are waking up. The political map is bleeding turquoise from every corner of the nation. Labour's heartlands? Hollowed out. Those once safe seats now falling like dominoes. Take Wales, for instance. In places where you could once slap a red rosette on a lamppost and get it elected, new Reform candidates, like Michelle Baird, are emerging victorious. Labour has lost as much as 35% of its vote share in some areas. Voters are done being patient, done tolerating high council tax, done freezing through winters on empty promises. They don't want to be competently managed into further decline, they want change. And it's nearly here. What's even more shocking is how this landslide is happening with just over 30% of the vote. In Britain's electoral system, a groundswell movement doesn't just win, it obliterates. Labour is stuck around 22%. The Conservatives? A humiliating 17.9%. The foundation of Britain's post-war political structure is collapsing in real time. Even the monarchy isn't blind to this. Behind palace doors, the whispers are growing louder. The king, ever the quiet observer, is said to be considering calling for an early general election to halt the Reform tsunami before it engulfs the nation. Because if it doesn't happen now, if the establishment keeps dragging its feet, Reform could secure even more seats through by-elections and internal power vacuums. Imagine them taking control before Labour or the Tories have even finished choosing new leaders. And this is what scares the establishment most. They don't even know who they're dealing with. Reform UK isn't filled with career politicians or Oxbridge grads with memorized talking points. It's not the same smug faces doing the same dance. These are tradesmen, veterans, single mums, shopkeepers, regular people who've had enough of waiting for someone else to fix things. And they're ready to do it themselves. That's what has the political elite shaking, not just Farage, but who he brings with him. While the mainstream media tries to spin it all away or dull the noise, the movement's voice only grows louder. From market towns to coastal villages, from ex-mining communities to urban estates, the refrain is the same. We've been ignored too long. Reform isn't just tapping into anger, it's turning it into purpose, into seats, into policy, into real, grassroots power. This isn't a flash in the pan. This isn't another UKIP surge or Brexit party flotation. This could be the most significant political realignment since the Second World War. And the best part? It's just getting started. Meanwhile, on the other side of Parliament, the dysfunction continues in full display. Jess Phillips once again managed to leave committee members baffled, meandering through a long-winded, confusing interrogation that had less structure than a late-night pub rant. Instead of cutting straight to the point, She zigzagged through tangents and muddled responses, drawing visible frustration from the room. Her intention may have been to spotlight the justice system's failures regarding violence against women and girls, but what unfolded was a verbal car crash. When asked basic questions, like how many prisoners are incarcerated for gender-based violence and how many are enrolled in specific rehabilitation programs, she had no answers. Not even rough estimates. What followed instead was a rambling justification about data collection problems, domestic abuse not being categorized as a crime, and an oddly offbeat joke about broken doors being easier to prosecute than broken lives. She floated through references to the David Gauck sentencing review, made vague allusions to flagging systems, and then spiraled into admissions like, "I have absolutely no idea, and I will make sure to write to the Ministry of Justice." These aren't the confident words of someone steering change. They're the flailing signals of someone out of their depth. Even when she tried to rally back with the topic of the national inquiry and government promises to act on Baroness Casey's recommendations, it was like watching someone trying to carry water with a sieve. There were mentions of timelines, consultations, promises not to delay, but all of it wrapped in so many caveats and clunky parliamentary jargon that the message was lost. Dead slow might not just describe Parliament, it might describe Philip's momentum, too. Even when pressed by committee members about the Department for Education's Child Protection Authority and its promised reforms, the response again meandered. "I refuse to just do something speedy," she said, while simultaneously offering no tangible progress beyond vague meetings and general timelines. It was as if the primary concern wasn't urgency, but optics. And when asked the cost of implementing Louise Casey's 12 recommendations, you guessed it, no number, just a fag packet shrug. What we're witnessing is a vacuum of competence on one side and a surge of populist energy on the other. The old guard fumbles through reports and data confusion while the new wave brings directness and clarity, even if it's wrapped in righteous anger. So, the big question now is simple. Will the establishment keep pretending this isn't happening, or will they be forced to confront the biggest political reckoning in generations? Either way, the public isn't waiting. They've stopped watching Question Time, and they've stopped trusting the suits in Westminster. Reform isn't a whisper anymore, it's a roar. And this time, it's not going away. What do you think? Are we seeing the rebirth of British politics, or the beginning of chaos? Let me know your thoughts below.